All right, y'all, let's have a look at this next example. This one, we actually give a weight to the beam. You can see that right here. So unlike the previous example where we assumed that the diving board had no mass, this one we actually have some weight here. So that'll change up the question a little bit. We do see that the beam has a length of 1 meter. It's connected to a hinge, so this is the hinge right here. Cord attached at the center, we can see that at the 0.5 meter there, making an angle of 30 degrees with the beam. The cord keeps the beam perpendicular to the wall if the breaking tension of the cord is 620 newtons. So I'm going to write that down. Tension max equals 620. How large can the mass of the sign be without breaking the cord? All right, so since this is on a hinge that can rotate, there's a pretty good chance that we're going to be using torque here. All right, we have 3 different forces that are going to be important, right? We've got the tension, which is pulling up and to the left, okay, and we already know that the max for that is 620. We have the gravity, which it gave us the weight of 196 newtons, so gravity is pulling down. Gravity acts, remember, at the center of mass, so because it's 1 meter long, then we're going to put at the 0.5, we're going to put the force of gravity there, which is 196, and then we're also going to have the tension of the string here, and that tension will be equal to the force of gravity on the sign, right? You've got gravity pulling the sign down, you've got tension pulling the sign up. The tension pulling the sign up, therefore, has to be equal to gravity, and of course the tension in the string is all the same. So whatever the tension is pulling the sign up, you have the same tension pulling down. So this I'm just going to call tension of the sign. All right, so that then takes us, you may say, well, what about the force of the wall? Well, this is where it comes in that we need to choose a good rotation point, a point of rotation, the axis of rotation. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose this, and what that does is that any forces that are acting here, so the force of the wall, possibly some friction, something holding it up, all of those forces, none of those are going to matter when we look at torque, because remember, torque is equal to the radius times the force, part of the force that's perpendicular to the radius. And if the radius is 0 because those forces are acting at the point of rotation, then we don't have to worry about them. So we're going to purposely make sure that we choose that as our point of rotation. So we're going to have the torque of the weight. The torque of the weight is pulling down. So because it's pulling down, that would cause a clockwise rotation. So I'm going to make that negative torque of the weight. That's the force of gravity there. Then I'm going to have the sign. So I'm going to have the torque of the sign. Okay. And the torque of the sign is also negative because that's also pulling down on the rod there. And then I have the torque of the cord. And that one's going to be positive because that's pulling, the component of that is pulling upwards, and that would cause a counterclockwise rotation there. Now all of those torques, of course, have to add together to give me 0 because the rod is not going anywhere, it's not rotating. So therefore, we can go ahead and start to put this in. So for the weight, if I do R times F, so that's going to be negative. The R is going to be 0.5 because that acts at the center of the rod, which is 0.5 away from the center of rotation, times its force, which is 196 newtons. Okay, then we have the torque of the sign, and the torque of the sign is going to be its distance, which is 1 meter, and then I actually don't know the force of the sign yet. Right, that's what we're going to look for, the force of the sign. That's the tension over there. Okay, then we've got plus the torque of the cord. Now for the torque of the cord, remember that we only want the component. This is the overall torque right here, right? Oh, pink is not a good color on you, friend. Okay, so the overall torque is right here. but we only want the perpendicular piece, the piece that's perpendicular. Now, it's acting here, so therefore the R is going to be 0.5, but then the force isn't going to be that full 620. We need just the side that's opposite the 30. So the opposite and hypotenuse is going to be sine. So it's going to be 620 times sine of 30. And so that will give us the component of that force that is perpendicular. A lot of that tension is just holding it towards the wall. Some of it is pulling up. All right. Again, this all has to be equal to 0. And so now I should be able to solve, right? So if I do the 0.5 times the 196, then I get negative 98. Then minus 1 times the force of the sine, so the force of the sine. And then plus, that's 0.5 times 620 times sine of 30, which is 0.5, and I get plus 155 there. All right, and so I'm going to subtract the 155 to the other side, or no, you know what? I'll just add the force of the sine to the other side. And so what we get is negative 98 plus 155, which of course is 57, and that is equal to the force that the sine is able to exert. Now the question, of course, is how large can the mass of the sine be? Well, the tension in the sine, remember, was equal to the force of gravity on the sine. And so therefore this is going to be equal to Fg of the sine, and Fg, of course, is equal to m times g, and g is 9.8. So if I take my 57 and I divide by 9.8, I do get my final answer, which is that the mass of the sine can be 5.8 kilograms or less, of course. Anything less would decrease the tension in the cable up at the top of the rod. Okay, so there you go. Again, recognize that the reason why we're using torque, just as a reminder, is because if we look at, sorry, I'm choosing a different color here. If we look at this right here, I would have the force of the wall pushing this way, and then the wall would likely either be holding it up or holding it down depending on the other forces. We'd have some other forces at play there. And so that would actually add into the challenge, the complexity of just doing some of the forces. By making that our rotation point, our axis of rotation, again, we can ignore those forces because neither of them will exert a torque. They won't cause rotation. And so therefore we can focus on the three that we're a little bit more interested in, the ones that we have information about or that we're looking for in the case of the torque of the sine. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful, and we'll see you next time.